Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Hope everyone is doing fine. So, today we are going to learn about Process Studio. I think last time we discussed what are the differences between process and object. So, let's start looking more into the Process Studio. So, today we'll cover Process Studio and we'll see what all elements are present in the Process Studio. You can actually go to this link. I will add this link in the description. So basically here is a Blue Prism site where you can get more details about the Process Studio and the elements in Process Studio. So let's get started. So as we saw in our previous videos, what is a process and object, right? And also we loaded the default objects in the under the object header, right, inside the default folder. And default is like will already be there. There's already a group named default, okay, which will be already be present from the beginning of your installation. You can go ahead and create different groups. So groups are more like um, group of processes. For example, you can segregate process on based on some criteria. So you can name, like, let's say some processes are related to department 1, some might be department 2. So it's like grouping of the processes. Okay, it's not like folder. So what I mean by that is, let's say I create a group like learnings. Okay, now if I create a process under this, so to create a process you just right click on a folder. So it will or the group, so it will get a reference of that group. So it creates a reference actually under that group. So like, let's say test 1, and here I just add a description. So is a test process. So normally we'll give the description. I mean, in the description we'll define what exactly the process does. Okay, so this increases the readability factors. Okay, so now created test 1, but if I try to create a test 1 inside default now, right, it will not allow you, saying that that process already exists. Okay, so basically you cannot create duplicate process. So basically it's not unique that under one group you can have the process a unique one. That's not true. It's basically how it is just like a grouping of processes, you can say. Okay, because like, see, you can actually drag it out and put it into default. You can drag it back to the learnings. Okay, you can also right click and delete the process, and then you just, so these are actually these comments help more for a audit purpose. Okay, so you should write, like, let's say this is a dummy process. Okay, one more thing to note here is, if you debug or run a process, you will not be able to, it will not allow you to delete, because the audit logs get created once start running the process. Okay, so then it does not allow you to delete the process. Okay, so what else you can do? So let's first try to understand what all things we can do. So one is, as I said, right, let's assume I create a process again. Let's say test L1 process, and then I say this is our first process for learning, let's say. Okay, and then I hit a finish. Okay, now, so by default there will be a main page. Okay, so whenever it's like, normally if you have done coding and all, right, so there will be some place from where, so there will be a main object, right, from where things start. So it's actually anytime we start running, it will start from the main page, unless we specifically define that run from here. Okay, so this is the main page. So this is the starting page from here. And if you see whatever comment we added, whatever descriptions, I hope it is visible. Let me zoom it a little bit. Yeah. So let me increase the size probably to have better readability. Yeah. So whatever we added in that comment, right, it comes here. So you can actually go and also edit here directly. Okay. Okay, there is publish this process to control room. So I think we'll cover this little later when we understand more of control room. So, or run the process from control room, we'll understand that better. Okay, let's try something like, okay, let me just try to set some value to a variable. Okay. Let me we'll cover these things. I'm just checking something that, number 0 and our test num. Okay, set 1 as test num. So I'm just quickly checking something. If I can show you the deletion part first. So here, if there is any error in your process, you can check here. It does basic level of validation. Like if there are some errors in the whole process, it will actually show here, right? So there are no errors. Let me save it. Added calc stage testing, save. Now if I just run it, so as I said, it will always start from here. It will from this start. Okay, so there are options like you can actually speed up the run. This is the normal one. So if you speed up and try to run again, it's already done, right? So you can reset by this one. So reset, it will be gone, and let me try running again. So it's done. So see, it's so quick because we made it fast, right? If I make it slow, so this all helps during debugging and stuff, like when you have longer process and you want to cross that some things are very stable running, first 2 pages are running fine, so you just run it fast and then debug, and then you concentrate on the place where most of the error comes. So you can accordingly increase or reduce the speed. See, it's slow now because we have made it slow. Okay, and then I'll reset again, and then I'll bring it to normal, right? So now it is done. Let me close it and let's try to delete this process and see, because I'm not sure if it will allow now. So okay, so I think okay, debug error occur, delete could not delete, the process has been run before and is required for see, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, I was right. I was just confused that is it that in debug mode or normal run mode, or it is that we run from control room then only this comes, but no. So even if we run in delete mode, so once you do this, you cannot delete the process because it is required for auditing. Okay, so you cannot delete. So let's assume that for some reason you want to delete it even though you have run it. So what do you do? How do you do that, right? So what you do is go to system. Okay, here there are processes and objects. What you do is go to manage. So as I said, if you remember in the first session when I was explaining, so these are all settings, right? So in there you go to under process, you go to management. It's the same thing you want to do for object, you can do for object. So basically go to management, click this one, and then you can drag it this side. So basically you are saying that you have retired the process. So once we retire the process, if we go back to studio, we no longer see that process under learnings, right? Now to activate it back, what we have to do is we have to go back to systems. Under processes, we go to management, and then we drag back test L1 to the learnings folder. Okay, now if I go back, see, I can see the process available or activated, right? So till now we went through how to delete, how to create, how to edit a process. I hope it's clear. Let's get inside the process studio now. So here we are inside the process studio. So these are the important parts of the this is the most important part of the studio, which are called stages. So there are various stages, and using these stages only we are going to build our automation. Okay, so we'll cover only very basic ones today, and as and when we go, we'll cover like for exception handling sessions, we'll cover the exception handling stages. And then when I show the variables and stuff, I'll more talk on the other calculation and data item stages. Okay, so we can also select the stages from the tools. Okay, and then here are the debugging options. Like you can, if you want to run or debug, these are the options. Okay, as I said, if there is any error, we can see in this window, right? Here dependency, if there is basically this dependency shows like I have a variable here now, right? So it shows where all, in which all stages and in which all page these variable has been used. So this is very helpful when the automation becomes very complex and then you want to find where a variable has been used. So this is helpful at that time. You can also search. So the same thing, if I search let's say test num, and then I click here, so it will actually search through all the pages. Okay, you can, so to create, so this is the main page. By default the main page comes, and in any page there can be only one start, so there is no start stage available. You cannot create multiple start stage. Okay, let me check. Yeah, you cannot have multiple start stage, of course, and but you can have multiple end stage, because it is possible that uh, at some time, like your page is very big, right? And then like you have to connect literally from the top till the end, just to end the process. At that time you can just, like, for example, if it would have been, let's assume like it is something like this, where this is like, okay, let's say something like this. Okay, have something like this and my end is not visible, so then what I can do is I can simply end it here, right? So this is that way end helps. So that's why end stage is there. We can have multiple ends. Pointer is used to point and drag any stage. Okay, and link is to basically link stages. Okay, um, and this is another stage which is called process. So this is basically if you want to call one process to another process, this stage will be used. Okay, so basically if you're calling, you can have one main process and then you can have a sub process, so there it is used. Then you have something called page. So in your real-time development, you will have multiple pages. Let's say, let me just keep it page 1. Okay, okay, and just note one thing. Whenever you change, you click any stage, you can see my cursor there, that stage symbol comes along with the cursor. Okay, so now I'm in the pointer, nothing comes up for the pointer. Okay, now what happens is, let's say from page 1 I have to go to page 2 or call the page 2, right? So for that I will use this one. Okay, and then it says there are three options. You can if there's an existing page, you can just add a reference, or you can add a new page with reference and add a new page without reference. So let's say I have already a page 1 and I want to call that page from main page, so I just use it like this. Okay, this is used for calling pages. This is for processes. Block will understand later when we understand exception handling. Choice, decision, all these things we'll understand later. Okay, loop is very simple. It's just to loop through records. Okay, anyways, we'll understand that during our variable session. Note is if you want to add some notes. So this actually does not, it's just to for readability, right? Let's assume you want to add a important note, so that when you or maybe you want to, it's actually good practice also when there is some complex logic written, it's better to explain in the notes. Okay, so it's for better understanding and readability. uh, Anchor is basically, let's say, to for connecting. So let's say I want to connect. Okay, so I can also directly connect from here, but yeah, it looks better when we have anchor. The design looks better. Okay, and also sometime if you have to drag long, you really have to drag long, right? At that time you can use pointer to have multiple junctures. Okay, so it's actually connector. Okay, anything other than this? Okay, action. I think I already told you that if you have to call any VBO, so if I have to call any of this VBO, so inside the VBO, then we'll have multiple actions, as I showed you right last time in. I think we had covered. We were looking into MS Excel VBO, right? So let's say MS Excel VBO, and there will be multiple actions for a VBO like delete, or attach, or close workbook, open Excel. So all these things will be here. Okay, so those are called actions. So you can using action stage, you can call the VBO action, right? Also you can, okay, so these are something very basic where you can increase the size of the text. Okay, also you can make it bold or underline, or you can also add colors, right? So you can add something like pink, something like red. So sometimes if some areas are important, you can actually mark them red, so it will be people can easily focus on that area first. So sometimes this coloring also helps. Also sometimes it differentiates also that, okay, maybe some of the stages are mandatory. It should be there in all processes. Okay, some might be that, okay, these are the stages where this color of stages are where variables are set. So yeah, so you can actually as per your design consideration, you can also use color code for specific like in your template you can define some specific format as a specific color. Okay, you can also zoom using this. Okay, this is to zoom in, zoom out, the whole see, you zoom, I zoomed out and zoomed into 150%. Okay, these are normally like the save as, and print, or if you want to export, right? So you can export and import back a process. So let's so I think I showed you the import, right? Last time we imported the objects, right? It's the same thing. So in the here we can actually, if you give the path, it will just export. Let's say if I, so okay, I think this is already exported, so let me delete it. Okay, let me delete this, and let's say I want to export in this path, so I just click save and then I finish, and it will export that in that particular path. So one more thing actually, you can see various versions, okay, of a process here. So let's say this was the last version, right? And let me do one thing. Let me delete this. Okay, let me just show you the difference. So I delete this. There is no page. There is only one main page, and then I save and say saved. So it's always also a best practice to always mention the summary of the uh, changes you have done while saving. Okay, so saved main page, let's say. Okay, and then let me just save it. Okay, so if I close it, so if you see, this is the last saved. Okay, the one we saved just now. Now let me just add a new stage. Okay, like let's say page one only, and then we just save it back again. Okay, so now let me save back and just say added page one. Okay, I've added page one. Now let me close it, and this is the latest save, right? And this was the previous one. We can also do comparison between any two uh, versions. Okay, so let's say these are different versions, right? So we can compare any versions, so like this, right? So you can see all the differences here. So you see there are two, basically the page one was a different, so you see it shows these differences. Okay, and when and let's say at the end it will show you no, there are no further differences to show. Okay, or if you, let's say you want to revert back, let's say something went wrong, okay, and then you want to revert back to your previous version, what you can just do is go and do export left side, and you, the same way, you just use this, you, and then you can save it. Okay, and click on yes. Okay, now you save the previous version, and you can go back and import that previous version. Okay, so now if I go and let me check where it was. It was inside somewhere here, Blue Prism Limited. Yeah, so this was the path. So let me try to uh, open it up. Okay, so let me try to open it. Okay, so here it says that okay, it asks you the option that overwrite existing because a similar process exists, and then I just import it successfully, finish. Now if I open it, you will see the page one is gone because I had taken back the previous one. So this is how you can revert back to your previous version. Okay, so this brings the end of our today's session. So we covered today the basics of Process Studio. So now we are well versed how to create a process, how to create the actually creating of objects or whatever I showed, right? How to create, delete, uh, then retire processes. It is applies to objects also in the same way. Also the same way we can compare also, right? Like this is if I update, let's say the Excel VBO, it will show another version here, and we can compare. We can also, the same way, we can export, import back the older versions. So all these functions are almost similar in object, so I'll not cover these ones in the Object Studio. Okay, so we will continue the various stages, the use of the various stages in Process Studio in the next sessions. Thank you, everyone, and please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And see you in the next session. Bye bye.